blood of some people, but the people want drugs. And now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. Blood of some people, but the people want drugs. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard.
Hello everybody, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday night. Thank you all for hopping in. Hope you're doing well. Lance, how are you doing? Good to see you. We are indeed a wizard. Wizard of magic, wizard of useless magic. For all intents and purposes, not useful for anything practical. Just painting tiny little army people. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a decent week. And that you are ready to relax and have a great weekend. I have a friend's birthday party tomorrow that I'm looking forward to going to. Fallout Season 2 has completed, so I get to sit down and binge. Super Bowl is Sunday, so hooray sports ball. But get to hang out with friends, get to eat food, get to enjoy the commercials, and generally have a good time. I'm not super into sports, but I can appreciate, obviously appreciate the awesome spectacle that is professional sports. It is enjoyable. I just don't get the nuances of it, and I'm fully aware of that. The magic is the friends we made along the way, absolutely. And the armies we make, yes, 100%. And Bettis, how are you doing? Thanks for being here. So last time we were working on this Cyber Savage mini, and she's almost done. I did a little bit of work on her after the stream. Did a little bit of work on her hair, tried to make it a little bit less uniform, a little less stripy looking, but then also worked on some would like to renew their defining certain areas. Sanesh, thank you so much. We'll get your library card here in just a second. Sorry, buddy. Dungeon Crawler Carl chapter drop at the exact same time. I'd stay. Hey, no. Wait a minute. Are we talking about the new book didn't drop? What are we talking about, Michael? I mean, otherwise, yeah. Go enjoy Dungeon Crawler Carl. Are we talking? Is it the animated? I didn't even know that was out. Well, I'm gonna have to investigate that because I've read all of the I've listened to all the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and they're amazing. The second to last on the Patreon. Oh, go! Far more important than this. Off. Enjoy. You have your priorities. Sorry, I've been consoling. No, life gets in the way. No worries. I hope you're doing well. Hope the whole family's doing well. I know Tara's popped in every now and then, but y'all been busy. We understand, and by we I mean the community. I'm not talking like royal we. I haven't gone like all Queen Victoria on us. Like, we understand your preoccupation with other tasks, and we see fit to give you our grace and not have you beheaded for the affront. Yeah, not going for that. Not going for that. So no worries. appreciate that you are busy. Life happens. I hope things are going pretty well for you. I do want to say we'll take a look at the stuff you posted in the Discord. I do want to say, man, you have certainly leveled up with all the painting you've been doing. I was looking at those. As like, man, those are 100% level ups from what you used to post, which is huge. That's massive. Being able to see what you've done in the past and then what you're doing now. I hope I hope you're able to look back on that and be proud, because that kind of growth is wonderful. Hey Tara, how are you? So we're gonna work on her a little bit here. Then we're gonna get our library cards out for Sinesh and get them all, get that renewed for him. I wanted to get a little bit of painting done before I got distracted by anything else, so we're going to keep working on this. Right now what we're doing is we're just refining some of these areas that look a little muddy. Areas that don't have a whole lot of visual clarity. We're going in and adding some new layers in here, brighten things up, try to be really controlled about where we're putting the paint. That way we're preserving those dark areas, and then we're brightening up some of those areas that that maybe are a little too much into the midtones, maybe just not clear enough, not bright enough, and it really helps them stand out apart from everything else. So I do go back onto this refrain a lot. Clarity and refinement is what we're looking for on miniatures, and I don't mean refinement as in like sophistication and refinement, highbrow material. I'm not talking about that. I'm refinement as in things the details are refined. You're bringing appropriate detail to them. They're not muddy. They are clear and separate from one another as much as they need to be easy to read from the person looking at them. That is super. It's super important that the viewer be able to see the details and distinguish them apart from one another. That way, it is a more. It really does impact the viewing experience. They can enjoy looking at the model more. They'll spend more times looking at the model. They'll spend more times appreciating the work that you've put in if you make that job easy for them. And then you can obviously hide little bits of freehand and things in there, reward them for looking. But that initial, you need to grab their attention and make their journey around your model enjoyable and free of a lot of work. And there's multiple ways you can do that, but refining the model and making sure details are clear from one another and they're not blending into one another and getting lost into one another, that's a major thing. And that's what we're trying to do now. So we're using dark paint, we're using our mid-tone, and I've got some even brighter green, some kind of yellow green here that we can enter in. And just as an example, you see I'm gonna work on the dark line that is between the main part of the armor greave and this lip in the armor greave, or in the thigh armor here. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want there to be a distinct difference, a distinct distinction between this flat piece of armor and this rolled armor, just because it's a visual detail that is interesting and makes the whole bit of armor more interesting to look at. And by interesting, I don't mean it's going to fascinate somebody and they're going to look at it for hours. I just mean they're going to see it, their brain is going to register what is there, and it's going to register clearly what's there, and then move on. I'm not looking to try and monopolize their time or anything like that. I just want it easy to see. I think it's the background and camera that's making it better. Annoyed D&D got canceled after I already cooked for. Oh no, that stinks. Funny, I made a giant crock pot of chili for dinner. It is chilly weather, right? It is soup weather. It is chilly weather. So I'm sorry that it got a last minute cancel. That's never fun, especially when you've done something that is takes as long as chili does. Because that's you know, that's not a quick. It's not a quick meal to make. But hey, now you've got chili for a couple of days, hopefully. Don't think of it as a canceled D&D dinner. Think of it as meal prep, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I'd be able to do. I'm about to get real sick of chili. You know, ever since I was little, my mom used to make chili all the time. And now I love my mom's chili. But man, for a little while there, that's like all we ate for an extended period of time. Same thing happened with spaghetti. Sometimes, just because, you know, they were kind of like struggle meals, you know. Young family. Not always able to have a massive variety in terms of the different types of food. So sometimes we just had, you know, chili a whole lot. And when I was little, I got so sick of chili. I got so sick of it. But, like, that's what we had, right? Now, Mom says she's making chili, and I'm like, oh, yes. I am all for Mom's chili. I am ready to go. Let's do this. Makes our cornbread. Got our chili, got a salad going. It's good stuff. Yeah, exactly. Sign me up. So, little bit of news since last stream. I believe, yeah, it's since last stream because I was out of town on work in between last Saturday and today. There is a convention here in the Portland, Oregon area called GameStorm, and some of you may be familiar with it if you're in our area. But I will be teaching two classes at that convention. I believe both are one's on Friday and one's on Saturday, I think it is, or they're both on Saturday, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So if you're going to GameStorm, or if you thought about going to GameStorm, there are going to be miniature painting classes there. So check that out. I'm not the only one that's going to be teaching. There's somebody going to be doing speed painting there as well, teaching speed painting. And then there's another person who goes over like how to begin miniature painting, what to get in your kit, how to build a mini painting kit without breaking the bank, that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to being able to contribute to a local convention I have not been able to go to in about 10 years. Because it's always used to be on the same weekend as Adepticon, but now it's the weekend before, so that's pretty exciting. Change of topic for a moment. As a bearded brother that is also growing out his mustache, have you tried to do handlebars? Beard is about 8 inches. Awesome. Handlebars, yeah, a little bit. I mean, I've got mustache wax. But like true handlebars, like I'd have to grow out the hair out here and get it like really far out, and I just haven't done that. I've messed up shaving multiple times, and that's cut the mustache short. But yeah, I've done kind of not like handlebars, but like walrus type stashes, like what's in my logo. I've done things like that. You need like mustache wax or beard oils and things like that. You need product. You need product to keep it in place. That is pretty much what is required. Let's get our Snesh, let's get your library card here. Let's get that out here. Let's bring this out. Go bring out the old Rolodex of library cards. And you have one of the old library cards, so we're gonna write you a new one. Because the terms of the library card did change a little bit since last time. So that means we're going to have to get out the ink and quill again. It's all mustache, no beard. Nish made me add a pic of my chili to the Discord, so that's in general conver. Excellent. I do appreciate a good chili. So a good chili pic sounds awesome. Alright, Sinesh, here is your old library card with your old stamps. So we are going to move the stamps from one to your new one. So you're not starting out, you're not starting over, but here is the new card. And here are the new terms. They're only slightly changed. The bearer of this card is granted permission to remove materials from the Great Library for no longer than 30 days. We've been more generous. You get to keep things longer, but there is the potential for more paint water consuming. A penalty of 1 sip of paint water will be assigned to the bearer for each piece of material that is outside the Great Library every day beyond 30 days. The bearer assumes all responsibility for any material damage to, magical damage, or mishaps associated with, and possessions or exorcisms through the checked out materials. So, you get the materials for longer, but it is more possible for you to forget that you have them. Hey, right, sister, how are you? So here... I'm making sure I'm spelling this right. There we go. The nib was a little loose, so I gotta shove that back in there. Probably need to give that an alcohol bath, just to make sure it's good. But there we go. Your new card. We're gonna put this away while we're letting the ink dry, and then we'll get you your new stamp. A little bit of library lore for those of you who don't know. Tara and Sinesh are the ones who sent me those that quill and ink pot for the Great Library. It was very kind of them. All right, Sinesh, here is your new library card and your updated stamp with all of your previous stamps. Boom, all in one. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we will hold this for posterity. If we are ever at the same convention, or if somehow I'm ever in your area, where we would be able to hand that off if you want to. So how can I interrogate your old cards? I can get them, and I can just mail them to you if you want. I did not get a new quill. That's the same quill. So you need to come to SoonerCon one of these years? Yeah, or are you guys going... you guys went to ReaperCon before, right? I could go to ReaperCon. That's a convention I want to go to, but yeah, we can check out SoonerCon at some point too. Or I can mail them, whatever works best. But I do like the idea of being able to hand off people's older library cards in favor of their new library cards, so they've got like a... That way they've got a keepsake. So yeah, I've been holding on to all the older cards. I've got them as they've been updated. I've been able to hand off a couple. I handed one off to Impending Duff. I believe I've handed off a couple others at like Origins and Adepticon. It's been really cool. So I did some digging about that OSL class that you did not teach at Adepticon. Oh, okay. What did you find? We're gonna keep on brightening up some of the green on these legs here before we move into the rest of the body here. Just to make it a nice, lovely, bright yellowish green. Here. I don't want to go too bright. Kind of bring it up. The more contrast we have between the shadows and the highlights, the more depth the model has, the more completed it looks. Just the more refined and complete the whole paint job looks. So definitely, that's one of the reasons why people say, you know, you need more contrast, because you want your model to look more complete. If you just have plain color, that's a great place to start, but it does look like, you know, it is going to stay, and this looks like it was just started by someone who's just starting out. And there's nothing wrong with that, but if you want to improve, there are specific things that you can do to improve that, and improving contrast is a major portion of that. Again, not necessary. None of this is ever necessary. You can just slap some color on your minis and leave it the way it is, or you don't even have to paint your minis. You could just assemble them and away you go. That is not necessary. But for those of you who want to improve your miniature painting, there are specific things that you can do that will help improve the look of your miniatures. And if anybody has any questions about where to start or how to improve or anything like that, please do not hesitate to ask. It turns out it was taught by a fellow named Mini Grinder. Oh, Mini Grinder! Yes, Mini Grinder is amazing. He is a wonderful, wonderful person. And he did have a miniature. Yes, he did actually sculpt a miniature that was me. Yes. Yeah, that is in fact the link for the STL. Yeah, I am very, very fortunate that he sculpted that for me. He was gonna sculpt like all the different streamers, but he ended up moving on to doing other things, including painting. And like he's an incredibly talented painter. But he actually helps. I believe last time I checked, he helps run Varicos's vault, or he was. I'm not sure if he's still doing that or not. Yes. No, thank you for sharing that, Riot Sister. I appreciate that. I still have several of that mini around, and I own the STL. I just need to sit down and paint it, but it feels really weird to paint myself. Like a self-portrait, almost. It feels very strange. Does that make sense? Does it make sense why that would feel weird? Like, hey, now we're gonna paint this my weirdly shaped head with the headphone dips. Because he got that right. He got the weird shape of my head correct. I have the headphone dips. Now they're just, it's a natural, you know, shape of the skull that headphones just happen to fit into. They're not something that like develop over time. But I definitely have it. I heard a weird trick to getting used to airbrushes. I started spraying the edges of books because Sinesh refuses to get into another hobby. Oh, that's interesting. Well, Pelias could do it. I'm sure you'd be just fine. But James is James. James is James. Like, James Wapple is James Wapple. Of course he can paint it. He's an absolute, no pun intended, but he's an absolute wizard. You want to talk about a painting wizard, you're going to talk about James. The Senior James Wapple himself. Okay, let's see. Want this upper edge of the site to be more defined. I'm probably gonna have to bring it up brighter, but I don't want to make the this flat portion non-metallic metal. I just want the cutting portion to be non-metallic metal. So I'm gonna keep the flat fairly dark, but I do want the edge to be brightened up. So we'll go to this blue and probably go up to a sky blue as well, just to make sure that's visible. But I want to see what this looks like when it's dry first. And for anybody that's curious, this is a miniature. This is the last of the miniatures I'm painting from I think it's the Matriarchs of Orion from Cyber Savage, which is a tabletop, small-scale tabletop game developed here in the Portland, Oregon area by a couple of brothers. They completed their Kickstarter, and they have now completed their fulfillment, and they asked if I wanted to paint some models for them from their game as kind of a collaborative thing. And so that's what we've been working on. Now we're on the last one. Getting out the colors I use for the gold non-metallic metal, because she's got a necklace and some bangles on her arms that I want to keep the same colors as the other matriarchs. But here they are. Here's one. And Cyber Savage is the setting for Cyber Savage is, think like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe type of setting, where there's like hyper advanced technology and then also like actual magic and things like that. It is very much like the Hanna-Barbarians and the Krull the Destroyer and Thundercats and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe type of vibe. It's called laser sorcery. So that's kind of the vibe that we're going with for the colors and for the paint schemes. That's why the weapons are these colors, things like that. Because I'm also thinking like G.I. Joe, where the weapons were made of the toys. The weapons on the toys were usually just one color of plastic, and that just feeds into that whole feel. So I'm doing the same thing here. My soul yearns to move back to the Pacific Northwest. Come back. If you can, if you are in a place where you can someday, come back, or at least visit. The Pacific Northwest calls to all of her children who want to come back. There are plenty of people who don't want to come back. I totally get that. That's fine. If you are happier elsewhere, if you have found happiness elsewhere, wonderful.
Welcome to the Great
You
Library.
should go to where you are going to do the best that you can. But, you know, if your soul yearns for the mountains and the coast and the deserts and the weather, the rain, and the iron skies of the Pacific Northwest and the abundant green found within the valleys and mountains of the Pacific Northwest, come home. Let's see, what was that? Hey, Toasty, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you very much. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Great Library. Grab a chair, join the discussion, or just sit back, relax. Grab a seat next to the fire here in my study where we're just hanging out. Grab yourself a book off the shelf. It is a library after all. Enjoy yourself. Whatever you choose. I'm glad you're here. How many layers of paint do you use? Does it depend on the color or technique you want to achieve? So I always try to minimize the number of layers that I'm going to use, or at least I try to minimize the thickness of the layers. Some colors like yellow they have very weak pigment, and so it's always going to require multiple layers or transition colors to get a solid color. But I don't count how many layers I've got. Now, you can, if you're using properly thin paint and you're not, troweling the paint on, you can get dozens of layers down before you start losing any detail or anything. But if you're not thinning your paint down, you could lose detail in just like 1 or 2 layers. So it is really important that you do thin down your paints, and you'll have a better paint job for it if you do that. But I'd say the areas that have the most layers right now are probably the greaves, just because we went from a dark green to a mid green and now to a bright green, and there's probably 2 or 3 layers of each color. They're pretty thin layers, but there's probably 2 or 3 layers of each color in here, and I'm about to add a very thin layer of another of the mid-tone again, because I kind of want to blend this out just a little bit, and there's a dark spot I want to get to try and get to fade a little bit. But yeah, I don't think there's any like hard and fast rule of how many layers you should be using. It's really up to practice, because and up to your experience, because some people will get a result in just a couple of layers because they know tricks and they've got the muscle control and they know how thin their paint is and they've got a really good control of it. And then there's other people like me who are just like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep going and try to minimize this as much as possible. And okay, that's pretty good. And then there's people who are brand new who just don't yet know what they're doing or don't have enough experience to really anticipate that kind of stuff. So it really depends on where you are, and it will change as you paint more and more. So I don't know if that's a satisfying answer or not. Those greens look awesome. Thank you. Yeah, these are black, green, and then bright yellow green, but it is like about a 50-50 mix of these two. I haven't put any of this on it raw. I don't think I'm going to. It's a little too yellow for what I want. I think this is probably about as bright as green as I really want to get, but they're all from Pro Acryl. And they've got some nice greens. I don't use a ton of green in most of my painting, so it's always fun to use colors that I've not used a ton before. But let's get back into that non-metallic metal. see. Just make sure I'm not missing any questions. Okay. Getting our yellow in here. This is a it's kind of a sulfur or an ochre yellow. It's kind of the mid-tone that I use for this type of for gold right now. And right now what I'm doing is I'm mostly just mapping out where I want the mid-tone and the highlight to be, and if I need to I will do a little bit more, I'll do some more blending in here, but right now I'm mostly just trying to map it out so that I can see kind of try to see what's in my head. And on details this small, I'm not terribly worried about blending too much. I'm just trying to like, okay, is this gonna look shiny and reflective if I do it this way with this short of a transition with the colors where they are right now? Is it gonna look shiny? If the answer is yes, then okay, we're good. If the answer is no, then I haven't spent a huge amount of time blending, only to conclude that yeah, this doesn't look good. So I'm mocking up where highlights are, mapping out where highlights and midtones are going to be, especially on things like non-metallic metal and power swords and magical things and OSL. That all helps me process where color's going to go, because believe it or not, I don't have a clear mental image of this model when it's completed, let alone a clear mental image of each individual part. So a lot of this is based on previous experience, which is why painting a lot is important, but it's also trying it out and seeing how it looks. Like, does this look okay? No? All right. We'll try something else. Does this look okay? Yes? Cool. We'll stick with that. But yeah, I'm definitely not one of those people who's got really clear mental images of what their art's gonna look like at the end. This looks killer. Hey, thank you, Elijah. Appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. We've got some gold down, and then we're going to get some red in for the gems. Now I'm very aware that green and red that are both very saturated can look very, very quickly like Christmas. So we're trying to avoid that. And one way to avoid that is to either don't use green and red together, or use slightly different versions of green and red, or don't have green and red being the same chroma or the same saturation. Those are all options. Now, because I've done red on all of these others, on all of their other necklaces, and non-metallic gold and red for them, I feel like I kind of need to do it for her too, because it's kind of a something that's bringing it all together. But you can see here that these are not super bright red gems, so there will be a point of red, there will be a point of light in them, but they'll be fairly dark red, so they won't be the same chroma or the same saturation level as the bright green that we have, so it should look less like a Christmas tree. or a holly leaf. So the first red I'm going to do is I'm going to use mahogany. And this is a very dark brown red. It's a wonderfully dark, rich, brownish red that makes a really nice starting place for a rich red later. So I'm going to use mahogany on the necklace, and then the gems on her arms. And then I realized that I left my burnt red and my bold pyrrole red in my traveling case from Hobby Night the other night. So I need to stand up and go get that. So I will be right back while we let this dry. BRB! Does she have a date for prom yet? You know what? I don't know.
Thirsty boy.
I don't know if she's got a date for prom yet. She's not like, I mean, she's one of the four these four ladies are, I think their faction's called the Matriarchs of Orion. I could be wrong there. Give me a second. Cyber Savage.
Glug glug thirsty
Yeah,
boy.
Solar Matriarchs. Solar Matriarchs. It's so much hydrate. Don't worry, it's sparkling ice, so this is hydrating. Sinesh, what are you doing?
Glug glug thirsty boy.
You're trying to kill me. You're trying to kill me. Why? Why? Why after so long?
Glug glug
Let's
thirsty
see.
boy.
So you don't have any references in front of you. You just go all wild from memory. Andrea, not quite.
Proto dragons. Nor is he early.
Glug glug
He
thirsty
arrives
boy.
Precisely what he means too. Cookcrafter, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in. Welcome in. Thank you, thank you. I hope you're
Glug,
doing
glug,
well.
Thirsty boy.
I'm in the middle of being hydrated to death. How was your stream? What'd you work on? And Andrea, to answer your question, I looked up a lot of like reference materials of what generally the characters for this type of setting look like. So I have a mental image of generally what I want, but then the rest of it is you know, me doing this from la memory and going like, yep, I think this is gonna look good. Did it look good? Yes. Okay, cool. We're gonna keep going. That kind of thing. So I don't have something mapped out for me of like this is where this color goes. This is where this color goes. So I do have a little bit, but it's not super clear. It's more concepts of what colors go where. Le memory. Yeah. Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome on in, Cookcrafter. I hope you had a wonderful stream. Thanks for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Useless Wizard. I am a miniature painter. We're working on some miniatures for a game called Cyber Savage, a very small game developed here in the Pacific Northwest by a couple of brothers. Think skirmish combat in like in the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe type of setting. It is a ton of fun. It is very fast and rapid paced, very deadly, and just a massive ton of fun. So they asked me to paint up a couple minis, and we're working on the solar matriarchs right now. This is the last of the 4 that we're painting. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've played the game multiple times here locally, and it's a lot of fun. So here are the solar matriarchs so far. And because they're very like He-Man, Master of the Universe type of setting, I tried to go with those types of colors, you know, lots of like solid colors with weird colored weapons. Try to make them fairly simple, straightforward, like a lot of the He-Man and the Thundercats type of animation style was, and the other Hanna-Barbarian type of animation was. Just trying to preserve that a bit in their look, and I think I've done a pretty good job of it. The brothers seem to be pretty happy. And let's see, Elijah, how'd you get those eyes so nice? I've had to paint some faces recently and struggled on the eyes. Yeah, eyes are always a struggle. The key for me is a very sharp tip, but I do not use an extremely small brush, because extremely small brushes, the paint dries on them very fast, because they don't hold any like water, so the paint dries out. So I have a very small amount of paint on my brush. My brush is damp, and I've got a very, very fine tip on it. And I might even use a smaller brush. And then I just come in and I hold my breath, and I apply as little paint as I can in small little strokes, and hold my breath the entire time. That is how that works.
A wizard is never
Oh no!
photo baggage. Nor is he early. He arrives
Precisely what it means to. Pikmin Horror, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in. How was your stream? What have you been working on? Are you still working on that frameable from Monument? I hope that's going well. It is certainly turning out to be pretty cool with all the pictures you were sharing, and we are gonna go over some of those pictures that you shared in the Discord here in a little bit. If anybody has anything they want to share of things that they've been working on, whether it's miniature painting or something else, we are link friendly. Feel free to throw your Instagram or other links into the chat, as long as it's Twitch terms of service safe, or you can post pictures in our Discord. Either one of those works. All right, let's see. I need to get a little glint of light off of the jewel up here. So I'm gonna go deep.
Hi, it's good to
tiny
have you.
little bling mark. It's another one. And another one. It's going to be harder to see, but the human eye will register them to a certain extent, and it'll like, oh, I see what's going on there. Yeah. So the only thing left to do, really, is the base on both of these, and black rim them, and then they'll be ready for varnishing, because and matte varnishing, so as I'm assuming they're going to be played with, but they are also going to be photographed. So I want to make sure that they're going to look okay. The matte varnish, really the only reason to matte varnish most things is so that photography is easier. Other than that, just usually a satin varnish is plenty. But a matte varnish makes it easier to photograph. And so that's the main reason I'm doing a matte. Got to take pictures for the gram. Great, brother. Working on Black Captain America Dio at the moment. Oh, very cool. I finished knitting Sinesha's scarf, and now I'm back to working on a swear words blanket for a friend. Yes, that sounds fantastic. That sounds awesome. Okay. So let's set that down. And then... Did we use dark purple? It's dark plum. Dark purple. I'm hoping I remember which colors I used for the bases properly. I think it was dark purple, purple, and then like faded plum. If not, then I'll be slightly altering all of the bases so that they have some color harmony. They look like they're the same. I did want to give them like otherworldly looking bases because they're obviously in a different world, right? I'm gonna go kind of fast and loose with this, pretty diluted paint, just so that we can get the pigment out there. And it doesn't really matter if some of the black comes through on this. It's just going to add on ground that is this chaotic looking. It's just gonna look like more intentional texture and shadow, and that's exactly what I want. That's fine. So just let that go, and then we'll come down here. And once this dries, we'll do some overbrushing with a regular purple. Get that to match with what's on the other bases as much as we can. Right now you can see that they're a little different. They're a little different. That's okay. We're just on our shadow color right now. Gonna set those off up here, let that dry. Excuse my rubbing my nose. Just gonna have lots of little details.
The construct
Ooh.
is not centered in the scrying area.
Hey, the
Yeah.
mini is off camera.
Sorry. Him and his scarf are in art. Excellent, excellent. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. We do have a break coming up here in about 5 minutes. So that's usually when I stand up, walk around a little bit. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes. Take a break, hydrate normally. Although I think I'm going to have to dehydrate a little bit because of all the hydrations that Sinesh put us through. And after that's done, we'll go take a look at people's stuff they've posted in chat, and then also stuff they've posted in Discord over the last little bit. I am trying to put out a call for stuff you've been working on, works in progress, things like that, earlier in the week, so that people have plenty of time to see that and post a picture if they want to. No one is ever required to participate. This is just kind of a fun way to show off what everybody else has been working on. And then when we get back from that break, we'll take a look at all of those. If anybody is looking for feedback, do let me know. I do not give feedback unless it is specifically asked for, because I want people to be comfortable with just showing off what they've been doing, without worrying about people giving them unsolicited feedback, because that's not always sought nor appreciated. So I don't. Otherwise, we'll just go over it, and I'll tell you everything I like about where you're working on, and let you show off and feel good about what you've been working on, because that is something you should have. It's something you deserve. Should feel good about what you've been working on, no matter what stage it's at. I think I used plum. I don't think I used purple. That doesn't look right. So we may be repainting the other two bases. I should have written it down. Do you prefer painting while doing question and answer or pure silence? How can you concentrate on both? It's a lot of practice. It's a lot of practice, Andrea. Sometimes I just have to stop, and especially if I'm answering a question and I need to do like an example, I'll stop. I'll grab an example piece and then I'll paint. But otherwise, hose you on yours. Otherwise, you know, it's just practice of being able to split my attention a little bit. And it really is more like multitasking, where you work on something for a little bit and then you look up and then you like, okay, you see what the next question is, and then you go back down and you think a little bit and while you're painting, and then you can start explaining and maybe slow down on the painting a little bit. It's more switching attention than it is doing both things at the same time. Like right now, I know that all I'm doing is tapping my brush on the base. That's really all I'm doing. I'm not putting a huge amount of thought into this. I'm just tapping the brush, and I know I'm probably going to have to refine that. And here I know this is too dark, so I'm just going to tap my brush again, and I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just tapping, but I'm thinking about, you know, how I'm trying to explain this right now, and that is a skill that you develop. It is a skill that you develop. It is not easy, and some people may never be able to do it because they just have a really hard time splitting their attention, or, you know, rapidly switching attention from one thing to another. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how it's a skill you can develop, or it's just something that you're going to struggle with. And it's just, you know, there's nothing wrong with it either way. But yeah, I love doing question and answer, and I like giving feedback and things like that. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it properly and giving people the right. Yeah, tap it, exactly. His keyboard is messing with him today. Yeah, we've got about 15 seconds before I'm going to take that break, and we're just going to sit here, and we'll be back in just a little bit here. So stand up, walk around, get yourself some water, and we'll be right back. I am going to mute my mic. That way you don't hear me grunting and groaning as I stand up, because I am a 42-year-old overweight man. Okay. Ads are all stretching out. Here the 14th. Thank you so. Feeks. Fox the 14th. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. I think I missed that. That's my bad. Alright, we should be back now. Ooh, that looked like it was really loud. I'm sorry. That's not what I intended. Got some of that down. Let's see if this last color, the faded plum, brings these more into alignment with one another. If they're fairly close, I'm not going to worry about it as much, but if they're not, then just finish this and then we'll go take a look at everybody's stuff. No, it's not quite close, so we'll have to adjust both. Not too far off, but there's definitely, the older ones don't have as much saturation to the purple as these do. These are much more purpley purple. See? Add some more purple into the purpliness, so I don't forget. Last call for now. If anybody has anything they want to show off, whether it's Instagram or anything like that, whether if it's miniature painting or you've got like music you've been working on SoundCloud or anything like that, feel free to throw a link in chat as long as it is link friendly. Otherwise, you can post in the Discord.
A wizard is never.
And we just got another raid.
Photo baggage. Nor is he early. He arrives
Precisely what it means to. Eric, Mr. Swinson, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, everybody. I am glad I am not working on my golden demon today. At least not right now, and I don't have it anywhere near near my camera because I don't want you to see it. I did tune in to your Feedback Friday earlier, and man, it's always a pleasure. It's always super informative. So thank you for doing that. I'm actually about to jump into not Feedback Friday, but just kind of a community show off Friday. We were just about to jump into that, so I appreciate you being here. Yeah. Oh. I can show you other stuff that I'm prepping plinth for. This is this bust that I painted a couple years ago, and I'm working on sanding down and refining a plinth to put her on. And then I'm working on this bust. I'm sanding it and priming it and sanding it I want to enter her into the Origins painting competition, but I might be helping to judge that, so I might not be able to actually enter her, but I want to at least put her in the case if I can get her done before then. Now, welcome on in, everybody. Alright, let's go take a look at Le Discord. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to say anything. All right, Tara. I'm not going to show it on stream, but that chili looks really, really good. Well done. Okay. So first, obviously the main thing that we have to show off is this scarf with Legends of Evantris in the background, of course, and this incredibly handsome male model you've somehow roped into doing this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that majestic creature. He should. He looks fantastic, and that beard is glorious. Like you've got the silver in the center going on. See, I've got silver coming out here. I don't have the flattering silver. I don't have that. You look distinguished, and that mustache is looking glorious, sir. Well done. Yeah, so a very, very nice edge highlighting. Love the color combinations. I actually really, really like the colors happening here. This super vibrant purple is just it contrasts enough with the shirt, but it just pops against the black, and then goes well with the blue. I like this color. Like really vibrant purple against black always looks amazing, and this looks really good on Sinjin. Or sorry, on Jason Esch. Sinjin, this would look good on YouTube. Don't get it twisted. This would look good on YouTube, but it looks good on Sinesh. He has more product for his breed, as one should. As one should. All right, let's bring some other stuff up here from works in progress. We looked at Ulrich. We looked at that. Okay. Grab some. That Sinjin. Let's take a look at your diorama and your frameable, where that is right now. All right, now we've got some additional pictures up, so we'll switch back to screen share. All right, this is a scratch, not a full scratch build, but this is a according to the person putting this together, this is the load arm of a 1940s crane model, and they are putting all the actual chain linkages into this. Now I don't know if this is actually going to go back and forth, but if it does, that would be amazing. But just the amount of detail going in here, and this isn't even sub-assembled. Like this is crazy. It looks so cool. The scale models are a whole different breed, man. Scale models are a whole different breed, especially those who do like micro detailing and hyper detailing. It's a whole different group of people. Like one person that I love watching does military scale modeling and hyper detailing. His name's Night Shift. You should absolutely check him out. He's amazing. He's amazing. Really, really good, and a really solid person too. Really entertaining. So that's awesome. All right, now Sinjin Pikmin Horror here. He is working on a diorama here with a black Captain America, and I can't remember this guy's name. Sinjin, if you're still here, can you remind me of his name? I'm not a comic book guy. I'm so sorry. But look at how dynamic. Look at the movement in this. Isaiah Bradley, thank you. Look at that. It's very much like out of a comic book frame. It's got his BAR with the bipod set up. Got two guys trying to get him to come back. Yeah, there's just so much movement here. This is a really cool piece. I like how desaturated it is too. Like it's very within the color scheme of a lot of scale models that are more realistic and desaturated, not hyper saturated like a lot of our art is or fantasy art is. This is very much within that range. God, the guns on this man. His bicep is the size of this guy's thigh. That super soldier serum is nobody's business. That's crazy. Oop, that's... Yeah, man's got guns. That's who we're going for? Yeah, it's awesome. Very, very nice. Now, going into more fantasy, this is something else Sinjin is working on. This is one of the framables from Monument Hobbies. So this is a like 2.5 dimension model. This backdrop is physically here. It's physically part of the model, and then this bit here is just the front half of a miniature built into the backdrop. So it's like embossed, just like really, really embossed, and this is awesome. Love seeing this thing continue to grow and increase in complexity. Like you can see a lot more saturated colors here. It's still not hyper saturated in terms of the colors of it, but Sinjin, if I'm remembering, you don't do tons of hyper saturated pieces. You definitely seem to, from my recollection, and I could be wrong, from my recollection, you do lean into more historical or a little bit more realistic color palettes, even with fantastical stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Sinjin, is the background entirely flat or is it textured as well? You usually prefer dark. That makes sense. Yeah, welcome to the gun show is right. It's completely flat. Okay, so there's the water rippling and the bubbles and stuff. That's all painted in. Everything else is painted in. That's wonderful. I really like that they give you that option of having just that completely flat background, so that you have the freedom to hit this man in whatever world you want him to be in. Like he could be in a. I think having him underwater is obviously fairly appropriate, even though it's weird that he's wearing steel armor. But you could have him in a manor house, or you could have him in a castle, or in front of Big Ben, or what have you, if you wanted. And I like the fact that they give you that freedom. His eyes are creepy AF. This is really, really nice. What painting concept has been the most challenging for you to master? I don't think I've mastered any of them, but the one that's been the most challenging for me is multiple light sources on highly reflective materials, or just multiple light sources. I still struggle with that, and I struggle with the different levels of intensity, which is why most of my paint jobs only have like 1 or 2 light sources, and they're fairly even in terms of luminosity or power, and they're certainly the same color. I have a very difficult time, again, because I don't do a great job of visualizing until I've really, really got a concept stuck in my head on how it works. Then I can visualize it. I don't do a really good job of visualizing what it is, which is why things like reference materials are really helpful for me. And sometimes it can be hard to find appropriate reference materials for certain types of atmospheric lighting. So I do lots of research. So it is getting my head around that is extremely difficult for me. And here's another shot of him in his frame. There's the frame. Now, Pigman, I didn't see your answer to this before. this frame, did you make this frame or does this come with a frameable? And if you made this frame, I'm assuming you added things like the barnacles and the tentacles, but I could be wrong. Looks like a portrait I would have in a manor in D&D where he disappears as the room floods, and now we have a boss. Yeah, there you go, Tara. That's a great idea. Earth Sky Chrome. I've played around with that. I'm not super good at it, but that is less. Sky Earth non-metallic metal is less of a conceptual challenge to me as multiple highlights are and their impact on stuff like that. You bought the frame and sculpted the barnacles and tentacles. Dude, well done. Well done. That looks awesome. Really, really good. Yeah, this is awesome. This is something. See, this is something I would hang on my wall. Like, absolutely. It's just like, not only do I have a piece of my friend's artwork, but it's on my wall. It's actual, like, wall art. I love that. That's awesome. I like the touch of the barnacles in the corner. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to work on my General Private Kronk and Thrug. Nice. That sounds awesome. A take on Akbar would be cool. That would be kind of cool, huh? Let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything else. Nope. Very nice. Okay, let's go back because we've got more things to look at. So let me close these off so I don't have a billion tabs. I am not one of those. I am not the type of person to have millions of tabs open. I can't have millions of tabs open. It would drive me absolutely bonkers. I can't do it. I can't do it. Got some green stuff working here on a dreadnought. That's awesome. Let me open more of these here just so that I can have them all. Okay, we just looked at that. That is an updated one, but we just looked at that. Okay, so I've got all the works in progress ones open. So let's go take a look at those, and then we can go into the completed ones. Let's see, who did this one? Yeah, Painterly Git working on a Gobliness warrior of some sort. Very cool. I'm a big fan of goblins. I'm a big fan of especially like character goblins, both evil goblins and goblins that are like working on redeeming themselves, or just goblins that are just people. I think goblins are awesome. I'm a big fan of goblins, and this is really cool. Love the mushrooms. Love the potion on the rock there. Love the red eyes. Really like all the base coating you've got going on here. Very nice, Painterly. Very nice. Yeah, the base definitely puts her into like an environment of like, it's almost like I'm going to protect my cave. Or that's a tree. Okay, so maybe she's out in the woods or something. I think that's a tree stump because those are shelf mushrooms, which are usually on bark and stuff. But she looks really cool. When I get overwhelmed at work, I would just close my entire browser and reopen what I needed. Yeah, that is going to be close my entire browser and walk away. Yeah, no, it is. That is tempting. That is very tempting. You're bringing these to Adepticon? Wonderful. Awesome, Pikmin. I want to see those in person, man. And let's see. Who is this? Gringu, the Demon Slayers, working on a incredibly Nurgle is what I'm assuming, because we've got more mushrooms over here. and a giant eating mouth. I'm assuming this is going to be Nurgle, but this is awesome. Oh, look at that arm. Oh, look at all the Nurgly bits on the arm. Sludge coming out of the engine. Giant eating mouth. Yeah. That's going to be cool. I like the use of shoulder pads for the half cylinders. That looks really cool. This is going to be awesome. Toothpicks for the teeth. Solid use. Lots of teeth. Got an arm sticking out here. Very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing this painted. That's gonna be grody AF. Let's see. Godot. Working on multiple different things. Looks like most of this is for, I think, Malifaux. Ah, got some P3 paints. Whoop whoop. I'm all about the P3 paints. I love P3. But these look really cool. A lot of really cool creative types of creatures in Malifaux. I know that's what you've been working on a lot lately. Oh, she's creepy. Look at that smile. That's a creepy angel girl. Before we go to the towel, let's see. It's like this moth. This type of Mothman, this chibi Mothman almost. That's pretty cool. Oh, those are hands. Oh my. Well, that's creepy. Malifaux does creepy really well. Alright, and then we've got a Tau crisis suit from Toasted Eskimo. Very nice. White is always a rough color to paint, so I applaud you for tackling that. The reds are nice and vibrant. You've got the yellows nice and vibrant here. Nice. Well done. Yeah, brave choice going for white. Brave choice. That's not an easy color to paint. All right, let's go take a look at completed projects. All right, Sinesh, we're gonna look at a few of your photos. I can't look at all of them because you gave us every angle under the sun, which is awesome. But I'm gonna grab the main angles here. And you said I could give feedback, so I'll give a little bit of feedback here. Okay. Tara? What? Wait, did I mess up on who posted what? This keyboard again. Tara's nephew is doing a black and white 40k army. He just started painting. I told him I suggest any other colors for a starting army. Yeah, right? Absolutely. Okay, let's take a look at... Oop, that's the wrong... There we go. Here we go. Alright, Trench Crusade. Love the fleshy colors. Love the bloodshot eyes. Wow, that iris is really crazy. Very nice. Yeah, OSL's tough. OSL's tough. Overall, I like a lot of what I'm seeing. But I think the issue here is this fire does not look bright enough to create the glow this far out. I don't think. Especially the rest of this appears to be in fairly standard lighting. It doesn't appear to be overly dark. And in normal, like everyday lighting or even overcast lighting, almost no light source is going to create a glow that's this strong, unless it's brighter than the sun, because this is competing with the sun. Now, you could bring this in a lot more, and just have it like shining out here and certainly like on this arm, but this glow, especially going back onto this tail, because you've got what I'm assuming is glow on the tail, but there's no glow here, so it's not consistent. But also this glow is really strong for how bright this appears to be. This appears to be a fairly low luminosity flame. But the positioning, I think, is fine. Like, for the most part, you're hitting bits of the chain, you're hitting areas that are exposed to the light. I just think you've got too much for how bright this looks. Now, you could pump up the brightness of this and going in here with like pure whites and yellows and things like that to make the inner fire of this look brighter, and that will help this read as a little bit more natural. But as it is right now, this is not bright enough to justify the size of glow that you have here. Does that make sense? Yeah, the eyes are incredible. The eyes are absolutely incredible. The flesh looks amazing. This needs more detail. This needs a lot more shading, a lot more work. This out here looks really, really nice. It looks meaty and alive and wet. This, you need more definition in here. It needs more shadow to define the muscles a little bit more. It's looking really flat. But the glow, okay, so maybe this wasn't the glow. See, that's another thing that was a little confusing here. This looks like the same kind of color that this is, so this looked like it was supposed to be glowing because it's very close to this color. So you may need to alter this so that it doesn't look like it's supposed to be glowing, because that was some visual confusion here. So if this is a slightly different color, then this reads a little bit better, but this is still way too intense and way too big for how bright this appears to be. So you need to pump up the brightness of this by brightening the inside of it, and then also I'd bring this down a lot. I'd narrow this. I'd just glaze your colors back in to narrow the area of glow. That would be my feedback for that. And then for the arms, we need to work on the muscle definition here. I'm only really seeing one color here. I'm assuming this is highlights from the actual light source rather than painted in. If they're painted in, they're pretty good, but I'm not seeing those same highlights elsewhere. But I suspect these are actual highlights, or actual reflections of the camera light, or the light you use for cameras, which means that all of this is a very similar color. And you need more. It needs to be more dynamic. It needs more color range. Does that make sense? But again, the eyes, the meat wings, and the teeth, those all look really nice. See, from this angle, this looks a lot more intense because you can see more of the brighter colors in here. But from this angle, from here, you're missing all those bright colors down here. Like this does not look as bright as this. Does that make sense? Yeah, you could absolutely do some blue tinting or some red tinting for the veins, but also the shadows, the volumes of the muscle groups need to be defined more. Okay. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, these are fun. I really like the purple, blue, and red you've got going on here. This looks really cool. This makes me gag. Drool makes me gag. Like when I see a dog that's drooling or somebody drooling, I look. So this is great. It's getting a physical reaction out of me. I hate it. The tongue is awesome. I love the very saturated purples and blues you've got going on. The bone colors look really nice. I think you could do more more highlighting on the red. These wrinkles and stuff could be more defined. Like here, this ridge is good. These ridges are decent, but these folds up here, these folds up here aren't highlighted at the same level, and I think they could use more definition. Let's see. The lips look cool. The goblins themselves, they look very flat. I'd get more value contrast in here and maybe work in some other colors. But just in terms of pure like value contrast, I'm not seeing a lot of highlighting. It's not very obvious, so you might need to pump that up a little bit. I really like the light that it's catching on this glaive is great. Again, I really like the purple. It does look like it's the same purple from the top all the way down. This might be a lighter pink up here than down here, but I don't know how much volumetric highlighting you're doing in here, especially with these larger muscle groups. So you might look at darkening the underneath a little bit more. I could just be missing it because of it's a big model. It's a light bounces off of it weird. But I love the patterning. The patterning is great. These are very vibrant, enthusiastic squigs, and I love the organic patterning you've got here. Yeah, the tongue is fantastic. Mango screws, they're lucky they're not actually flat. Yeah. No, these look great. All right, now we've got some Gundam, smaller Gundam. I'm assuming these are the smaller scale, like for the Gundam that you get out of the packs, and possibly for the upcoming skirmish game. I like these. That axe is a lot of fun. I like the volumetric highlighting you've got on these. It really helps, especially with these type of highly geometric types of sculpts and figures. That volumetric highlighting is really important. So we've got the highlight here because it's a partial cylinder. Got the highlighting going on the arms here. Yeah, these look cool. There's a Forza commission. They didn't want panel liner. Okay, got it. Yeah, if they don't want panel liner or things like that, then I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. You got to do what they want. I think panel liner would have been a good idea, or even just a darker, like not full on panel liner, but just a darker color from the base coat, just to get that definition, because a lot of this is missing the amount of definition that dark lining and more volumetric highlighting would give it. Yeah. No, you asked for feedback, so I'm just trying to give a little bit of feedback. I'm very impressed with how much he's improved on his other stuff. Yeah, same type of thing. These look really cool, but definition. It would help these a lot, getting more dark lining and as you said, panel lighting. Oh, these are cool. I love these poses. They're so dynamic. I just wish I liked Gundam. I would feel a lot less worse about just saying these look cool, but that's about it. Just never been a big fan of Gundam, but these look awesome. Really love how dynamic they are. They look like they're straight out of the frames, out of the animation frames in the anime. You can just imagine these swarms of missiles coming out, trails of tracer rounds out of that cannon. Yeah, these look awesome. Of course, when you click on a link in Instagram, it gives you the smallest possible window. So let me find that group shot of yours. Here they are. Yeah, you see with the panel lining and more volumetric highlighting, it just helps them pop so much more. Yeah, these look great. Nice job. Oh, you got a little glint of the sun in the windows on that building. Yeah, I really like these guns. I think they're called the Zukos. Yeah, Zaku's. I've always liked the Zaku's just because I've always liked their aesthetic over the full-on Gundams. I've just always liked how they look. The customer is all right in matters of taste. I mean, you have to treat it that way. You have to treat it that way because they're the ones who are gonna putting it on the field, and they're the ones who's gonna be wearing it, right? But I'm glad you had the full quote there, because that is the full quote. The customer's always right in matters of taste. They can be absolutely wrong in everything else. And I think they're cooler than the Footmen. I agree. All right. Well, thank you all for sharing the stuff you've been working on. I'll probably be putting out another call for stuff on Sunday or Saturday, and just a reminder on Wednesday. That's what I'm going to try and do. And then if you've got more stuff, you could put it in there, and we'll take a look at it next Friday too. Let's see if I can get... Sir, I've worked too many service positions to not know the whole phrase because the customer is rarely right. Absolutely. Oh, Sinesh, you have one more? Go for it. While you're pulling that up, I can work on a little bit here, and I think you just sent me a message, or you just might have just tagged me in something. So I just heard a beep from Discord. Give me a moment. He's been busy painting. Yeah, good. Excellent. Been busy using 3D printer to reorganize my bookshelves by genre. Nice. I wish I had more wall space for more bookshelves. I don't. And also have my mini display cases up. They take up at least one spot where I could have another set of bookshelves. All right, let's bring this back up. All right, let's share this. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, this is good. This is a little hard. This is a little harder because it's white, so dark lining this is much more difficult. But I think cleaning up some of the dark lines would be helpful. There's some areas where it's not very consistent. Like in here, there's no dark lining on the inside here. I know it's not. You've got panel linings on the actual panels, but you've got volumes here that don't have that any kind of definition to them. So maybe not panel lining, but you could use some edge highlighting here. This panel lining needs to be all the way around just to make it, because right now, because it's not consistent, it looks dirty, right? It doesn't look clean. It looks dirty. Now, if you're going for dirty, great. That's fine, but you probably want some dirt and some chipping to make that look. But here, this panel line, this doesn't complete. It is complete around here, but it's not complete around here. It's broken here. There's no panel lining here on this inside when there is on this. So consistency, and then just cleaning it up, making it more consistent, unbroken. I like the visor. It's almost got that kind of mirror reflection look. It's very nice. Okay, I got you, Sinesh. Adam, I will answer that question in just a moment. Give me just a second. My midterm plan for this year is to rearrange a bunch of stuff and build a custom built bookcase and displays. Very nice. Biggest resources need is time. Yeah, that makes sense. Adam Civic, that's a great question. Do I have any dislikes on just the general Warhammer models? Like in general, or are we talking about specific Warhammer models? My general dislike at the moment is they are becoming far too detailed and far too busy. On one hand, I do appreciate how dynamic they're getting, but also I dislike how static their buildability is. And I know you have to sacrifice one to get the other. If you want something that's very buildable, very posable, you're going to lose a lot of that natural looking dynamicism. But I think we might be going a little too far on some of the pieces. Like, not a fan of how far it's been going. And how much detail is being added. And I mean, look at this chaplain, right? Look at this chaplain. He's got buttonholes. He's got multiple layers of armor because it's Primaris armor. It's Mark 10. He's got buttonholes here. He's got skull buttons. Each button is a separate skull. He's got multiple layers of detail for the chest. So you've got this reliquary area here. Then you have ribs. Then underneath that you have armor plates. Underneath that, and then you've got this belly reliquary symbol icon thing, and then you've got the coat over that, and you've got belts over the coat. Like this, it is going to be a beautiful model, and the detail is great. But my God, there's a lot, and it just seems like there's getting to be too much. Because it's taking longer and longer to paint models. Captain Toad, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope that answers your question, Adam. It's a good question. There's a lot to not like about some of the newer 40K models and Warhammer models in general, but there's also a lot to like about them, to be fair. But there's absolutely room for criticism on them as well, 100%. Alright, now the bases are much closer to one another. Much closer to one another in terms of their unified coloration. Not perfect, but very, very close. I think once I get these varnished and matte varnished, I think they're basically done. Last thing we need to do, I think. I don't really want to paint her eyes. I want her to look very ethereal. So what I think I'm gonna do to call back to the the blade she's got, I'm gonna give her kind of glowy blue eyes, slightly. See if I ruin this or not. And I need a near white for the eyes. Doing well, just finished applying base coat to my bookish dragon model. Nice. Very cool, Captain Toad. Hope that's going well. Sounds like it. Come on, pick that up. There we go. That's fairly glowy. Wanted her to have that kind of a unique look to her, because she's very much imagine her as kind of like some kind of solar matriarch of death or something, because she's got the scythe of the harvest or something. Got her. Then we've got our solar matriarch of the sun. She's got blonde hair, yellow with purple, contrasts really well. She's got her glaive, and then we've got our gunner lady. I don't know what she represents, but went with a darker skin for her because I wanted to have some variety, and then dark skin with the orange and purple I think go really well together. And she's got this badass like revolver rifle with a Picatinny rail that she's not using on top, but she could like gear this out with a scope real easy. And then we've got our heavy cannon lady here, the teal and the glowing red eyes, the targeting sensors, and then I made her back. I tried to make her back just yacked, like she's just got muscles, super muscly back. Because I mean, look at the cannon, like she's lugging that around. I just wanted her to have a completely like ripped back. Oh, I'm pretty happy with these. I think these look pretty cool. We'll get varnish on them. We'll get the rims blacked again, and then we'll get matte varnish on them. I'll take pictures, and then get these to the fellas. Let's see. Just reading. Ooh, book recommendation. I hate how they've been going to thinner and thinner portions. Thinner and thinner parts. Yeah, no, I don't enjoy that either. Yeah, GW's been getting thinner and thinner parts that are more and more delicate. I'm not enjoying those either. Completely different subject. Inspired by Gundams. I have 2 book recommendations. What's the book recommendation? Kind of love book here. Yes, we do. Just finished reading Heaven Breaker by Sarah Wolf last night. Sci-fi with giant mech suit tournaments, jousting, and political conspiracies. I'll have to check it out. It does sound like fun. I just finished the second book in the Shrubly the Monster Adventure series. That's been a lot of fun. Very lighthearted, funny, but interesting world where, you know, it's Shrubly is a monster shrub who becomes an adventurer, and he builds an adventuring party of other monsters who have all awakened. So they think like people, which is not every monster out there is able to do that. So only awakened monsters can, and it's really it's been a lot of fun. I also finished the latest book in the Legends and Lattes series, the third book in that. That was delightful. I've read all of those books in the Legends and Lattes series multiple times. Those are like a warm hug for me. Read 8 books so far this year. Most of them were good. The only one I didn't pass was The Great Gatsby. I just don't get the fascination with that one. It was probably the time that it was written, and it's not going to hit. It's not going to get everybody. It's and the ending is just heartbreaking. Like, it's a tragedy. It's also just the language that it was written in. Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, that's the whole thing, and that's part of what sets up the ending. That there's just so much pretentiousness and condescension that it really sets up the ending and makes it more poignant, I think. But it's hard to deal with. It's hard to get through. Just like, oh my God, these people. I read the third Legends of Lattes book recently. It was nice to follow a different lead character for a bit. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. As annoying as she was every now and then, it was still awesome. It was still awesome. I just finished the Arc of the Scythe book series, and now I've moved back to Mark of the Fool on book 4, but a great series I like is He Who Fights with Monsters. I think I've read the first 2 or 3 books of He Who Fights with Monsters. That was one of my first lit RPG series. I just haven't gone back to it yet. There's a bunch of lit RPG series that I'm needing to get back into. I think it's the Titan series. He Who Fights with Monsters, System Reset. There's a few. There's a bunch. I read through a lot of books and I just get lost. I find a new series and I'm like, ooh. I keep meaning to grab Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yeah, I think I'm legitimately, the audiobooks are better than the regular books because of, like, they are legitimately better as an audiobook than they are as just a regular book. Now, the regular books are great. They're the humor is on point. It's still really good, but the audiobooks with the voices and the fact that the narrator and the author are now working really close together, it just makes it so much better. The First Necromancer, I haven't read that. I haven't been reading as much lately, but I started Invincible Cities by Italo Calvino. It's very interesting. What's it about? That sounds interesting. Oh, I'm missing stuff over on TikTok. I'm sorry. Thank you, Quickie. First time I've had the mental and physical energy to paint. It will well. Good. I'm glad. What are you trying to do? A green metal emerald look? Follow. Nice. Yeah, I haven't heard about it. I'll have to check it out, Cook. I don't know anything about it. I don't recognize the title. All right, I've got a small dwarf that I want to prime, so we're gonna do that real quick, just to eat up some time, because we've got another break coming up in about 4.5 minutes. So I'm just gonna use this little bit of time to prime this really quick. And I do prime with my airbrush, just because I'm usually priming one thing at a time. I'm not priming huge amounts of stuff, so I just use my airbrush for that, and that means I don't have to wait for nice weather to be able to prime. I should be wearing a respirator for large amounts of priming, but I'm not right now. This is also why I don't prime on stream, because priming's boring. Especially since I can't really talk with the compressor going and with a respirator on. It's hard to hear me, so I don't typically prime on stream. But hey, need to eat some time up. All right, so just to set him off to the side, let him dry and cure. And then I will pour the rest of the primer back into the bottle, so I'm not wasting any. I'm not wasting as much. It's written through Marco Polo, is describing cities visit, his journeys, as taking the Kublai Khan. Oh, that sounds cool. You know what show I really wish wasn't canceled? Marco Polo. I thought that was an awesome show. I very much enjoyed it. And then they canceled it, which I was sad. I don't think it was super, I mean, it was, I don't think it was super historically accurate. I don't know enough to say whether or not it was horrifically inaccurate, but it was entertaining. The guy who they had playing Chinggis was wonderful. Ooh, Firefly. Yes. Firefly, always. Always Firefly. Always and forever in our hearts. Cities are all made up, and many are fantastical. Each chapter has a couple of pages for a single city, and the writing is almost poetic. Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds very cool. A book I read a long time ago that's rather unique is Einstein's Dreams. It's a book of short stories remaining different flows to time, like the weird one is Time is Birds. It's super short, really cool. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Time is Birds. That's interesting. All right, we're going to take a break here. And we'll be back in 3 to 5 minutes. Stand up, walk around, hydrate, use the bathroom. Don't be sedentary. And then we'll be back in just a couple minutes. And we're back. Ooh, let's put my phone back up here. Okay. Let's see. So worked on the Cyber Savage Mini. Now I am working on finally mounting this bust onto a plinth, and I think this is the plinth I'm going to be mounting her to. It is spalted maple, so it's got a really cool pattern and everything. The problem is that it was pretty rough on a couple of the sides, so I've been filling in gaps here. For those of you who don't know how a lot of plinths are prepped, or how they seem to be prepped, if you want a mirror finish or something like that, then you got to do gap filling and grain fill. What is it called? Wood filler, to smooth things out and get things to square up. So I'm going to do a little bit of that here. So I'm doing some really light sanding here with a larger grit, and then we'll move into a smaller grit. This is just to remove some of this gap fill material here, because there were chunks missing of the wood here, and you can see there's chunks missing at the bottom too, so I'm gonna have to do this on the bottom. But getting rid of some of this material here delicately. Now a lot of this fill here is white, and I don't want that to show, so I'm going to tell you what I'm going to try and do, and we'll see if it works out or not. Yeah, you remember her. She was a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun to paint. I've just never put her on a plinth. Now this is 1000 grit. This is 1000 grit sandpaper. It's going to help me get a really smooth finish on the plinth. Just trying to smooth things out a little bit. A couple of these faces will still show some wood grain, and that's intentional. That's what I'm going to try and see if I can explain my idea. But I want some of the others to be mirror, as close to mirror smooth as I can. Okay. So the idea right now is, once I get all of this done, I'm going to tape off the top and the front, and I'm going to tape those off, and I'm going to prime the rest of this black. So the back, the sides that have a lot of filler, those are all going to be black, and then it's going to be the angle here and the front are going to show the spalted maple. But I do have a lot of filler in here, so I'm going to do the incredibly stupid thing, and once this is varnished and matte varnished, I'm going to paint the filler to try and match the color of the spalted maple. So I've been trying to keep the filler as delicate as possible, as little of it as possible. I do want some of that wood grain to be in the front. So some of these areas where the fillers come in, I am removing some of that. But all the areas that are white, I'm going to try and paint so they appear to be the same as the wood. Just so that, the sides are going to be black, most of the spalted maple is going to be visible, and then the slope and the front are going to appear to be just entirely spalted maple. Not wood stain. I mean, I even if I did wood stain, I would still have to paint these in because the wood stain would just cause these to be a solid color, and the grain would what's the word I'm looking for? The grain would have multiple different colors in it because the stain would work at a different rates or different amounts of absorption. So I could do wood stain, but I also really like just the look of the spalted maple, and I kind of like that. So it's just a challenge. We'll see if I'll see if I can do it or not. If I can, great. If I can't, well, I tried. It's going to be more about color matching and texture matching than it is about really anything else.
The wizard is
So I think
Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives
precisely what it means to. Resident X Girly, thank you so much for the raid. Looking forward to tomorrow. That's still on tomorrow, right? I haven't checked Facebook. So your birthday party still tomorrow? Am I got the right date? Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome in. My name's Ryan. I am the Useless Wizard. We paint miniatures and miniature art pieces like this and like this, and then gaming pieces like Space Marines, like this guy, and we have a lot of fun with it. Welcome on in. I am working on preparing a plinth to put her on here. Yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday from all of us to you. Happy birthday. We hope your dreams come true. Hey! Okay, let's see. So one thing I want to do is hit this plinth with some gloss varnish. I think. At least the front and the top with some gloss varnish. I think to no. Well, no. I want some structure to something to soak into the fill medium that we've got. So I'm just gonna hit this with some gloss varnish, so a really thin coat of it. This will change the color a little bit, but I'm hoping that this will also sink into the surface of the plinth, and especially the areas that I needed to sand and used filling in. And it'll strengthen the filler. I'm just going to do that on the front, back. The rest are going to be the rest of these are going to be primed black. But let's see how this does. I'll probably sand this down again. You know, once it's dry, I'll sand it and I'll do it again. Something I'm finding with a lot of plinths is to get like a really nice finish on them. You do have to. You have to sand. You have to apply and sand and wait, and then apply and sand and wait. And since we're doing this, I might as well hit her with some gloss. And the other ones. Get some gloss varnish on them. Got the cupcakes for tomorrow. Nice. What time is it? Oh, never mind. I'll check on Facebook. I forgot what time it was. I imagine it's the same time it usually is for you and your hubby. I'll double check. Oh, it's 2. Okay, so it is earlier than I thought. Okie dokie, no problem. Oh, thought it was going to be a little later, but that's a-okay. I'm just misrecalling. I'm glad I asked. That's here. Just clean out the airbrush here. We're going to dinner with friends at 7:30, so what a time for both. I totally understand. Totes understand. That'll be fun. Just flush out my airbrush here. Just so I don't have any varnish curing inside the barrel of the airbrush. Now while we're waiting for those to dry, this is a much larger bust that I'm going to be working on, and I want to bring this to Origins because she is fantastic. She's this super awesome sculpt that I found, had a friend print her out for me, and I've spent a lot of time sanding, priming, then finding where the sanding needs to happen, then sanding, and then priming it again. I've already spent probably 20 hours sanding this. So that is something I wasn't really expecting with a larger 3D print, especially with like flames for hair. Was not thinking about the print lines. And for a competition piece, I need to minimize print lines as much as possible. So there's still a lot of sanding to do on her, but I'm excited about her. I'm excited about painting her. She's awesome. She's just got this absolutely fantastic smirk on her face as she just like casts a fire spell. She is really, really cool. She's got massive amounts of confidence in that face, and I think that's going to be awesome. So I've been collecting art of Ifrits and fire djinns and things like that to get an idea of how I want to paint her. So I'm excited for that. But we'll see if I can get her done in time for Origins or not. Okay, so I'm going to come back in here and sand a little bit more because I did notice that there was an area filler that was not as flush to the plinth as I want. So I'm using really high grit sandpaper. There we go, that's better. And just like I said, you know, sometimes you have to varnish and then sand, and then varnish, then sand, and prime, then sand to get the kind of finish you want. So it's a lot of work. But the more that I do this, the more shortcuts I'm learning, the more things I'm learning. Like, okay, I didn't really need that one step, so I'm not going to have to do that again. That's been useful. That's been great. But there is a lot of trial and error. It's got this one super shiny spot that I don't really want. It's probably from a drop of I'm just going to have to buff that out a little bit more. Yeah, so we've got that done. Let's get some tape. No, this is pretty aimless at the moment, everyone. I appreciate y'all being here. I hope you're having a good Friday night. But there's stuff to do. Streams can't all be entertainment all the time, although they probably should be. So I'm going to mask that off and then have this run up. No, that's too low. Here. Alright, trying to get this lined up properly, and I know I'm not on the camera at the moment. Ugh. Let's do this side first so I can kind of see a little bit better. There we go. It's better. Where did this? Keep going, but talk. No, that's fine. Yeah. It's very calm, which is good after a busy day. That's true. Yeah. I know it's not the most engaging all the time. Book talk is always good. I will say that is anybody else watching Star Trek Academy? I know I ask this every time. I don't think anybody said that they've been watching it, but I thought I'd check. Because this last episode was tear-jerker. Tear-jerker of an episode. Assistant to the Villain was the first book I read this year. It was surprisingly adorable and charming. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out. That sounds awesome. Anything that, like, plays around with the Zillion thing. I've been binging all of Legends of Evantris, so no, I've not been watching it. That's fair. Legends of Evantris is bingeable. I have a hard time binging actual plays, so I haven't binged that or Critical Role. I've watched smaller shorts of them, but also I've watched full episodes. I just haven't binged any of their full things. I did start out with their Western, and I need to finish that. I was watching that as it came out, but I fell behind on YouTube. But they are very, very creative people with a very different, obviously a very different like style of play, and a different level of seriousness as Critical Role and Dimension 20. But just wonderful, wonderful group of people. Okay, so I got those two halves marked off, like taped off, because I want those to be raw wood. Do now is we're going to see what it looks like when it's primed. I do need to thin this out a little bit. making myself finish their Witchlight campaign before watching of their other stuff. It's a good campaign. It's like a really, for as long as they've been around, and as successful as their Kickstarters and things have been, the Witchlight campaign and the Crooked Moon stuff, that's really been their major successes, which is really cool. Hit this again. As these dry, just hit them with another layer so that I've got a consistent layer of black as much as I can. What's the name of the movie series you mentioned? Which ones, Andrea? Are you talking about Starfleet Academy? Because that's the one I mentioned. But Tara is talking about Legends of Advantris, which is a D&D actual play. So it's a bunch of friends playing D&D together. They've been very, very successful. Like, not quite Critical Role level successful, but they're really... They had a very successful Kickstarter for their campaign setting, and they're very entertaining. So I don't know which of those you're referring to. Yeah, that one was, if anybody else has been watching Starfleet Academy, I've been watching that. So I've been trying to catch up with all the Star Trek shows that I've missed since DS9 and since Enterprise, because I've watched all the others. I've watched the original series, Next Generation, obviously, Voyager. Voyager's still my favorite, just because it's the one that my family watched. We all watched together. And then DS9 is amazing, and then Enterprise was okay. I don't think it's as bad as people give it out to be, but I think it was just okay. Discovery had a rough start, but I ended up really enjoying it, although I'm not sure why the last season exists. I haven't finished it yet. Strange New Worlds I want to get into. Lower Decks I need to watch. But I have personally been enjoying Starfleet Academy. I've been enjoying that. Lower Decks is the best Star Trek show. Chuckles the Clowns alone is worth it. Absolutely. Oh, Bitsy is both the dumbest member of the cast, but also the absolute clever monster. So much just gets initiated by her, and it's great. And Derek is just an incredibly talented improvisational guy he's the one who voices and plays Bitsy, and he does a wonderful job. God, she's so dumb. But she's so funny. Yeah. Kept saying lemon. You get lemon juice out of lemons, and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you squeeze the lemon, and that's where the lemon juice comes out. Well, that's what they said, and that's fucking bullshit. Oh, Necromunda just got my first models. Oh, very cool, Painted Thumbs. Which models did you get? Yeah, so wherever you're looking is north, so west is that way. So head north, then turn north, and just keep. Now turn west and keep turning west. Just goes in a circle. It's like, how is she still alive? I don't understand how she's still alive. So this is going to take a long time to cure, so we're just going to set that off to the side and let that dry. The Asher gang? Nice. Ashers are cool. Ashers are pretty cool. Pretty ruthless. Pretty brutal and ruthless, but they're cool. Alright, so we've got the Solar Matriarch's gloss varnish. I'm going to hit them with a matte varnish just to get that started here. Speaking of Eshers, here's another group of female warriors, not for Necromunda, for a different game. But this is another all-female group of warriors called the Solar Matriarchs for the game Cyber Savage. Just painted her, and now we got her. Now, I really need to get back to doing my my Necromunda lore videos on TikTok. I keep putting that off, and now it's been a whole month since the start of the year. I really need to do that because I've got one last video that I wanted to make about the Eshers for now, but I could probably put that off. But I need to start covering the other gang houses. I think the next one up is going to be Orlocks. Then we'll go over all the others. There's so much lore in Necromunda. There's a lot to cover. So
The construct is not centered
easy
in
to
the
make.
scrying
That's
area.
because I'm airbrushing.
Camera.
I'm airbrushing. You want me to spray my keyboard and all the other models up here with the stuff I'm airbrushing? No. That's why I don't airbrush on stream. Get my multi-$100 gaming keyboard covered in spray paint? I'm not frickin' doing that. I don't care it's not in frame. You don't have to see the matte coat go on. There. It's matte. Angry! Useless wizard, angry! Arr! No, Bitsy's not the only menace. Absolutely. How do I know it's on? You'll see it at the end!
You have a magical disease called attention deficit disorder. It makes you a very unique wizard.
Yeah, thank you for recognizing that.
Unfortunately, it will not make you suitable for the Muggle world.
I have found that out.
They expect you to show up on time and remember small details.
It's very inconsiderate of them.
Sometimes I know that's a struggle.
It really is. It really is. Okay, so now they were glossy. Now they're not glossy, and now they have two layers of protection on them, and it's going to be easier to photograph them now that they're matte varnished too. One of the Fireball one, I don't see Wizard Time anymore. I did remove that one because it had I couldn't find a version that didn't say mother effer, and I didn't quite want that in there all the time. I try not to swear, but I'm not great at it, so I didn't just include that. We do have this one.
Shadow Wizard Buddy Gang. We love casting spells.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wizard time. Fireball!
We drank the blood of some people, but the people were on drugs. And now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard. We drank the blood of some people, but the people were on drugs. And now I'm a wizard. Now I'm a wizard.
Yeah, still have the best one. Can you imagine someone just coming into the channel? It's like, what is happening? This is weird. Yeah, we paint miniatures here, and then yeah, that was directly related to painting miniatures. I swear, it was very important. Can't paint miniatures without that sound. Oh, Andrea, thank you so much. Did I miss that before? Thank you so much for the roses. I think I missed that before. So, Painting Thumbs, if you're still here, any ideas what you're gonna paint? How you're gonna paint your Eschers? So, the lesson I've learned today is swearing is bad, but drugs make you a wizard. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's exactly the same as, violence is perfectly fine, but anything sexual or lewd is awful. That's. Have you not been? Are you American? Are you not familiar with our social mores and our social taboos? It's very, very, it's very straightforward. Drugs are fine. Swearing is not. Violence is perfectly fine, like, obviously. But sex is icky. I mean, figured that was established here in the U.S. Yes, the dopamine, absolutely. Okay. So this is drying out, and I am seeing that the wood grain is still visible, so that's probably going to need sanding and refilling. Wood grain is still visible over here too, so that's fine. But also some of the fill, that is, let's see if I get it. You can see that is still standing proud of the surface, so this still needs sanding. This side also still needs sanding and more filling. So there's obviously more work to do to get it to be something closer to like this type of, although that needs to be resanded, to be like this type of like cabinet smooth. That's kind of what I'm going for, trying to get that cabinet smooth type of look like I have for this guy. That's a lot of wood filler and sanding and gloss varnish, and then sanding and then priming and then sanding. So there's still more work to do on her on this one. But once that's done, and this is cured properly, and it's going to take about 24 hours for it to cure. And see, I got a fingerprint in it now. Now they'll know. Now they'll know who made that abomination. My fingerprint is identifiable. I absolutely have to sand it down, but we'll get that sanded. We also can't show people drinking alcohol on commercials or smoking. Yeah, stab someone, don't you dare touch it. Yes, 100%. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. That's how it works here. Come on. Sand what? The plant or your fingerprints? Yes. If I sanded off my fingerprints, then I wouldn't have to worry about leaving fingerprints on the plinths that I'm working on. So, man, Tara, you were thinking ahead. Solve the problem, not the symptom of the problem. Obviously, I need to sand off my fingerprints. That will solve the issue before it ever becomes an issue. So now we're just gonna I'm gonna use some black primer, slightly thinned down with a little bit of water just so it flows, and black the rims of these bases. So that really helps. You know, the base puts the model in kind of a situation, in kind of a story when it's standing by itself. But blacking the edge of the base, really, it helps to literally frame the miniature. It really puts it in its own world when it's standing by itself. And I don't know, it's just got this wonderful effect of making the miniature look complete and like it is standing on its own. To do a couple of layers of this black on these here, because it's not fully transparent, and that's okay. We'll do a couple of layers. That lets you stab more people for legal reasons. Yeah, stab people in-game. In-game. It allows you to stab people in-game. In Minecraft. Or in Hytale now. Or Fortnite. In Fortnite. I would say in Arc Raiders, but there's no stabbing in Arc Raiders. There's just hitting with a hammer. If you're in PvP lobbies. If you're not in PvP lobbies, then there's you're the monster. In GoldenEye, yes, classical reference, wonderful. it's like a Doctor Strange portal. Everything else may not match your base, but they're being brought to a new location. Absolutely wonderful. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Okay, we've got 6 minutes till the top of the hour. I'm probably going to go ahead and my childhood being called classical just hurts different. Yeah, I know. I grew up playing that too. I grew up with the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and the N64 was like mind-bogglingly advanced. Yeah, that was a long time ago, but GoldenEye forever. And unfortunately, it is a classical reference. We were born in the 1900s, the late 1900s, and that is a fact. I don't like that it's a fact, but it's a fact. All right, let's see who we can find to drop all you wonderful people off at. Oh, I forgot to look at Cook's. Shoot, I forgot to look at Cook's miniature that they were working on. Okay, we're gonna look at this real fast. I don't think Cook is still here, but we should look at this. Where'd it go? There we go. Look at this. This is gonna be a fun mini. I like this. Look at it. You got the webbing here. Got some net here. Got the leather jacket with some armor plates. She's a badass witch girl. Cook went to bed. Yeah, I feel bad now. I wish they had mentioned it before. It's my bad now. It looks like, yeah, they've got torn fishnets or torn jeans here too. That's gonna be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how they paint that. I thought this was just paint texture, but no, this is torn stockings texture. That's gonna be cool. So we've got fishnet up here, up into here. Got leather jacket with armored plates, gothic choker, spiked hat. This is a great model. This is really cool. I like this model a lot. I'm hoping Cook comes back in and shows it off a little bit more. Yeah, painting these torn stockings, making them like sheer, or pure sheer. That'll be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, this is a cool model. Look at those Demonia style type boots with the spikes in the front. Big chonky platforms. God, that's awesome. I kind of want this model. Work in progress, trying to study skin tones. Nitsa. So that's the name of the model. Come on. Oh. I hate that I can't use certain shortcuts when I've got TikTok Live open. There it is. 3D Principle Nitsa Riot. This is the bust. And I think, okay, I am bookmarking this as a miniature and a bust that I probably want to get. Miniatures. Okay. I'll have to find someone to print it, or I'll have to find someone on Etsy who's already got it. But that's a really cool model. I like that a lot. Okay, who can we raid out to? Let's can I share the link? Oh. There it is. I'd want her at pretty high resolution, like competition. I'm thinking like competition level resolution, where I have to sand, but like we're talking very, very small, very, very small layers. That's what.
Some
That's
metal
what.
stuff. Oh, okay.
That's been one of the more difficult parts of finding Etsy printers and printers in person, like people I know. A lot of people print for gaming, they don't print for competition, and those are different types of printing. Nice. Okay, yeah, well let's talk. Because they've got we've got her full model here too, and I think that's what Cook was doing. Here's the full model. So I probably want both. So yeah, let's talk. I'd be down. That flesh model I shared was printed. Nice. Yeah, they the Trench Crusade model. All right, we've got Paintwater Sommelier. Let's go raid him. Thank you all so much for sticking around. I very much appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. Do the thing that keeps you sane this weekend, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. We should be back on Tuesday for more stream. We'll probably work on the plinth. Well, I'll probably be done with the plinth, but we'll probably work on the Golden Demon model a little bit more, since the Cyber Savage minis are basically done. We might work on a couple other things, but what I need to focus on is the Golden Demon piece, so that I can get that done in plenty of time for Golden Demon. I did get in some new brushes from Truckle. They are synthetic Kolinsky sables, so I'm going to be playing with those over the weekend. In addition, playing with them next week as well, and just trying to paint with them as much as I can. So I have a good idea, and I can speak to them intelligently. But yeah, let's go raid over to Paintwater Sommelier. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, and remember that painting is good for the soul. Have a good night, everybody.